strong can you get? Really? To be honest, it's a really complicated question. It depends on your frame, your height, and your mass, whether it be muscle or fat. If you want to get really deep, you can also go into joint insertions and muscle fiber types. An example being your arm length. If you have longer arms, you're going to be bad at the bench press, simply due to the fact there's more range of motion. However, you're going to be great at the deadlift since, well, you have less range of motion. As well as if you have very long femur bones, you're going to also be struggling at the squat since there's more range of motion. Not to mention, when you start lifting, your body has a mental block on how much you can actually lift. This is mostly due to practical reasons, since out of nowhere, if an ordinary person with no lifting experience went all out doing a bicep curl, for example, they'd probably tear their bicep. And as you get more and more experience in lifting, you can tap in deeper and deeper into your body's ability to use more and more of your muscle. With all of this kept in mind, how strong can the average man get? Let's say you're about 5'9", and you weigh about 175 pounds to about 195 pounds. How much can you lift? Assuming you've been at it for a very long time and have at least okay genetics, here's some standards for 5 lifts. The bench, squat, deadlift, overhead press, and how much you can pull up. For a squat, 405 pounds. For bench, 315. Deadlift, 495. Overhead press, 195. And pull up, 90 pounds. An equivalent figure for a woman who's about 5'4" and weighs about 140 would be 275 squat, 150 bench, 325 deadlift, 95-pound overhead press, and a 30-pound pull-up. If you aren't exactly similar to the man I described, or at least somewhat, here are some bodyweight percentages that'll work. Meanwhile, here are some extremely high standards. Someone who has some great genetics, has a lot of time on their hands, and has some great joint insertions. A squat of 560 pounds. A bench of 425 pounds, a deadlift of 585 pounds, an overhead press of 235 pounds, and can pull up 185 pounds. For the equivalent figure of a woman, it will be a 365 pound squat, 225 pound bench, 405 pound deadlift, 135 pound overhead press, and an 80 pound pull up. Keep in mind, the latter standards for someone who has great genetics and has been at it for a while and is probably a bit taller. Here's some actual real life examples of people doing the same lifts, or at least very similar. Alpha Destiny's overhead press, Alpha Destiny's bench, Jeff Nippard's bench, and deadlift. A very extreme example being Russell Orhe, who also pulls 700 pounds. And then there's one of the titans of the bench press, Sean Norwega, who benched over 468 pounds. And then there's Taylor Atwood, who benched 418 pounds. However, I've only mentioned natural lifting. If we want to truly see how strong people can get, we have to see some very enhanced lifting. For example, the world record for a raw squat was set by Ray Williams at 1,080 pounds. Meanwhile, for bench, the world record for a raw bench is 782 pounds. Meanwhile, he also got 796 in the gym. Meanwhile, for the equipped bench, it's even crazier. It was hit by Jimmy Kolb with an insane 1,350 pounds. Lastly, for the deadlift, the world record was set by Hafthor Bjornsson at 1,104 pounds, beating Eddie Hall's very famous record at 1,102 pounds. And as the future holds heavier and heavier weight, it begins to ask the question, how much can a human body / frame even hold? With the lifts we already have now, we're already nearly killing people. Eddie Hall, during his record, felt his bones bend. His heartbeat was over 200. He blacked out twice. It was bleeding out of his nose, eyes, and even his ears. Meanwhile, for the aforementioned Jimmy Kolb, he said he felt his forearms literally bent. Not the muscle, literally the bone itself bend during that bench press. Not to mention, so many have simply died due to their body just not being able to handle that much weight. But even with all of this, how much can a human body hold? Well, here are some half answers. Greg Ernst said his very specific back lift with 5,340 pounds. Mike Jenkins able to do his hip lift with over 2,500 pounds. Meanwhile, the hand thigh lift world record is over 1,900 pounds. This at least shows humans can at least somewhat handle very extreme loads, but this might be able to translate into more recognized lifts. I hate to disappoint, but I, and anyone who's being honest, does not know the upper limits of human strength. As strength sports like powerlifting and strongman both increase in popularity, as well as even gene editing come in, where you can genetically breed elite genetics for lifting come in, you don't really know at that point. You can see 900-pound bench presses, 1,300-pound deadlifts, or even 1,500-pound squats. You really don't know. All I can really end this video with is where the upper limits of human strength. They're higher than they are now. How much higher? I don't know. Anyway, I'll end this thing here. First, I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for getting the Arnold video doing very well. I was surprised by that. As well, the channel's been popping off recently. Thanks for all that. But yeah. Anyway, I'll end this thing here. Thank you for watching. See you next time, and bye.
check out my new favorite channel. It is so good. Oh my god. Look at it.